Hi everyone, my name is Meera Eldridge. I am a second year history undergraduate student at the University of Warwick, and I'm going to be talking to you today about what it's like studying history at Warwick. So I think the main thing that most people want to know about what studying history is like is how the modules work. I think that was the thing that I was most interested in when I was choosing where I wanted to go to university. At Warwick you have two core modules and two optional modules in the current curriculum in your first year. So it means that you have a nice balance between having that stability and knowing that all first years are in the same boat with your two core modules, and then the flexibility of having those two optional modules as well. So the first core module is Making of the Modern World, which is about how we got to where we are today, how modernity has evolved over the years. It starts with the Enlightenment, which is seen as the starting point of modernity, and goes up until very recently. And then it covers all sorts of things. It covers revolutions at the start of the period with American Revolution, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution. It covers ideologies like capitalism, socialism, nationalism, liberalism, developments and warfare, as well as things like history, things like religion, and histories of class, gender, race, and developments historiographically like post-colonialism and postmodernism, as well as thinking a little bit more conceptually about what terms mean. So terms like modernism, what does that mean? And thinking about how meanings of words change over a long period of time, and how what we say now, or what we might think one word means now, isn't how people in the 1800s used to think about what that word means. And then the second core module is Europe in the Making. I didn't actually do this module because they changed the curriculum in between my first year and second year, but this is more early modern. From what I can gather from speaking to first year students, it's I think 1450 to 1800, and I think it's quite based in two key areas. So you've got religion, thinking about ideas of the supernatural and witchcraft, and the Reformation, which is obviously a big change for Europe. And then you've got imperialism and Columbus's expedition, and how colonialism came about, and learning about the slave trade and things like that. So I think these two core modules really help to ground your learning for basically every year in your history degree. There's a lot of things that I go back to from Making of the Modern World because it just gives that core information in one. And also the lectures the lectures are given by different people each week, because each topic is quite different, which means that each week you're being taught by someone who is very knowledgeable and an expert in what they're talking about, and that passion really comes through to you, and how and that really impacts your learning and helps you understand a bit more, and helps you just take it in better in my experience. And then the optional modules, you've got lots to choose from, but I would say quite a lot of them are sort of country or region based. So you've got like history of the United States, history of China, history of the Middle East, history of Latin America, history of Africa, as well as others. But yeah, the optional modules are more centred around a region, as I say. And these modules are taught over 10 contact hours per week. So that doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not compared to a lot of other subjects, but history is quite a independently taught degree. You have a lot of free time, but a lot of it isn't really free time because you're meant to be working in those other hours. So yeah, it's only 10 hours where you're actually face to face with an academic in the department, but the time away from that where you're learning is meant to be either preparation for an essay, or exams or whatever, or preparing for those contact hours. So those contact hours are split into lectures and seminars. Obviously it's only 10 contact hours in first year, in second and third year it's different. But yeah, in first year I think there's 6 hours of lectures and 4 hours of seminars. So like two lectures for the 2 core modules a week, and 1 lecture for each optional module, and then 1 seminar for each module, if that makes sense. And yeah, so obviously for lectures you don't really have to do that much preparation because it's a lecturer at the front of the hall talking to loads and loads of you, and you're just listening to the information, absorbing it and writing notes. So you don't have any preparation really for that. But seminars is way more discussion based. I'd say seminar groups are around 8 to 16 people, so it's quite varied within that, but obviously that's a much smaller group, and for that you need to be doing reading before the seminar. They usually have a list of essential readings that you have to do before each seminar, and it's so important that you do that reading, because it just allows you to come to the seminar so much more prepared, to discuss ideas, to develop your argument a little bit more about, you know, if you were going to write an essay on the topic, or ask any questions that you have to the seminar tutor, because there might be something that you didn't really understand in the lecture, or maybe just something that you wanted to discuss a little bit more about. So yeah, seminar reading is really important. I didn't do much of it in first year, I'm not gonna lie, but doing it more in second year has really made me realise how much it consolidates your learning, coming to the seminar prepared, and by doing that you are so much more confident in what you want to say in the seminar, and it allows you to just, you know, think more like critically about how historians are talking about the topic, how you might want to talk about the topic, how your peers might want to talk about the topic. So yeah, it's seminar reading is really great, and you know, the list of essential readings, there's about 3 probably usually for each seminar, so it's really not that much. And yeah, and then assessments, you only have 1 exam at the end of first year as the current curriculum stands. It's only 1 exam, which is great because it means that you're at the end of the year you're literally just revising so much less than everybody else, from, you know, other degrees. But it does mean that the degree is a lot more coursework based. You have basically every essay that you do throughout the year will usually be like, it will count towards your end of year grade. So that means that you're putting sort of more effort in gradually over the year, and that accumulates rather than just sort of everything being bunched at the end of the year. Sorry, excuse me. I personally like that a lot more, because it just gives you a lot more time to prepare these things, and yeah, it's just a lot. I just prefer the essays basically. I would say that the essays do differ quite a bit from your secondary school essays. Obviously, I think most secondary schools do encourage you to put arguments into your essays, but your essays at uni are completely just geared towards your argument. There's no point in having like a counter argument like you do in your secondary school essays. You know, you might address a critic of that argument, but you don't really have like a whole half of the essay dedicated to a counter argument really. And I think one of the other big things is referencing. Referencing takes a lot of getting used to, but your seminar tutors are usually, well, my seminar tutors anyway, were really good with helping you with your referencing. Just asking them about how you meant to reference that, and then they usually help you out with it. You also have a personal tutor assigned to you at the beginning of the year, which is really like, your personal tutor is very helpful for general history questions, because they're usually in the history department, and they're good for both pastoral support, so if you have, you know, something going on at home or something that you feel like you need to discuss with them, they're good for that. But then also if you have a question about how the whole degree is structured or something, they're good to go to as well for that. But yeah, your essays as well are more primary source and secondary sources. You need like just way more of them than in secondary school. But again, your seminar tutors are really helpful in gearing you towards that, and there's also History Society, which I'll come back to in a minute, that help you a lot. In first year, you don't have an essay longer than 3,000 words, I don't think, so that is fairly manageable. There's also an opportunity to do a podcast as one of your assignments, which I really enjoyed because it just mixed it up a little bit and wasn't just sitting writing another essay. Usually as well, each module has some form of oral mark, so that might be based on a group presentation, or it might just be based on your contributions to seminars throughout the year, but not really based on how much you're contributing, because, well, a little bit, but people know that there are people who are shy and people who are more confident, so it's more to do with showing that you've come prepared to the seminar. And first year doesn't count towards your overall degree classification. Doesn't mean that you can get away doing nothing throughout the whole year, but it does just allow a little bit of the pressure to be taken off, because the uni knows, or the department knows, that it's quite a big transition period for you. And then resources is, like, I think they're great at Warwick because you have an archive on your doorstep on campus. It's called the Modern Record Centre, so obviously most of the sources are from the modern period, but they're great, they're really friendly in there, they help you out. If you just need a primary source, you think they might have something similar on it or something about it, they're really lovely and they help you out. You just email them and then you go. And the library has loads of secondary material as well, so that's brilliant, just helps you out a lot. And then History Society, you have, I think it's great that you have History Society. I've joined History Society since, I've been in History Society since first year, and as I said, they help you with your first essay. They run a first essay workshop just before that deadline is coming up, which was really helpful. Then they run loads of socials. They have a netball and football team, I think. They have a really lovely ball each year, and it just means that you get to meet more people who study history and are passionate about it like you. And yeah, I think that's about it. Kind of a whistle-stop tour, but I think we're doing questions soon, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.